Hello, 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 hello. So, testing 1, 2, 3. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello, testing. Hello, hello, testing 1, 2. Hello, 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 hello.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان. صدق الله العظيم. رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان. صدق الله العظيم. سرزمین شادمان، کشور حسین شادمان، تو نشان از عالیشان عرض پاکستان، مرکز یقین شادمان.
South Asian Studies Center. His research areas include national and international security, nuclear strategy, nuclear diplomacy, non-proliferation, arms control and disarmament, discourse analysis, strategic foresight, and scenario planning. Our second speaker for this discussion would be Dr. Zahir Kazmi, who will be talking about safety and security of Pakistan's nuclear assets. Dr. Kazmi is currently advisor, Arms Control Strategic Plans Division. Previously, he served as the Director General of Arms Control and Disarmament Affairs at SPD. With around 15 years of experience, he has significantly contributed to strategic policy and arms control initiatives, for which he has been twice honored with the Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee's commendation. Additionally, he has been awarded the prestigious Imtiaz for his services. Dr. Kazmi holds a profound interest in the strategic stability of the Indian Ocean region. Our third and last speaker for this discussion would be Dr. Imtiaz, who will be talking about peaceful use of nuclear technology. Dr. Imtiaz is the former Director of International Affairs at PAEC. He holds a master's degree in chemistry, additionally, he had a PhD in chemistry from the UK. He has served in many senior positions of PAEC, including as Director General of International Affairs. He is also the founding project director of Global Change Impact Studies Center. In recognition of his services to Pakistan in the field of chemistry, he has been conferred with Imtiaz by government. He holds a master's degree in chemistry. Now, to formally begin this session, I would request Dr. Zahir Ali, who is Director Research SVI, to begin this session with his introductory remarks. As Director General of International Affairs, he is also the founding project director of Global Change Impact Studies Center. In recognition of his services to Pakistan in the field of chemistry, he has been conferred with Imtiaz by government. He holds a master's degree in chemistry. Now, to formally begin this session,
having with us today. So today we have gathered here to commemorate the unwavering spirit and strategic achievement of Pakistan. 27 years ago, Pakistan achieved a significant milestone when on 28th May 1998, it conducted nuclear tests in response to India's nuclear tests. This day marks the dawn of Pakistan's nuclear capability, a symbol of our resolve to safeguard our sovereignty and deter any strategic achievement of Pakistan. Let's remember 27 years ago that this achievement was not born out of aggression, but of necessity. 28th May 1998, driven by consistent history of hostility and the specter of nuclear blackmail by nuclear tests. Pakistan, guided by the vision and dedication of its successive leaders, and embarked on a path of self-reliance to harness the potential of nuclear technology for achieving a credible deterrent against 6 times larger consistent history of hostility and the specter of nuclear blackmail by nuclear. In the 27 years since crossing the Rubicon, Pakistan has maintained a robust operationalized deterrent capability, supplemented by an impeccable nuclear safety and security reliance. To Pakistan's credentials as a responsible nuclear state are well recognized internationally. Larger consistent history of hostility. In addition to security, there are tremendous contributions of nuclear technology in the fields of health, agriculture, energy, industry, and environment. And during the proceeding of this seminar, you are going to hear a lot about Pakistan's credentials as a responsible nuclear. On this momentous occasion, we pay tribute to the tireless work of our scientists, engineers, technicians, strategists, diplomats, and defense personnel for their unwavering dedication and consistency against numerous hurdles to transform Pakistan into a nuclear power. Ladies and gentlemen, India's expansionist and revisionist agenda is deeply influencing its strategic intent. This revisionist agenda is guided by the RSS ideology and has far-reaching ramifications both at the regional and international level. The recent blatant aggression under the pretense of false flag operation at Pahalgam is a fresh case of strategic delusion displayed by India in disregard to ground realities. Ladies and gentlemen, on this momentous day, let's pledge to work together with unity, discipline, and faith to ensure that Pakistan remains a beacon of strength and stability in the region and beyond. Again, at the end, once again, I would welcome you all and those who have joined us online to this seminar and look forward to insightful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, without any further delay, I would request Dr. Nasir to begin the session.
Hope you can hear me. First of all, let me tell you that this portion of this seminar was to be taken by Dr. Naeem Salik, my teacher. But unfortunately, because of certain health issues, he is not here. So I am here just as a filler. So I hope that you can, bear with me for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I will try that I'll cover this topic in as much detail and with providing you as much information as required. But of course, I cannot substitute the original speaker, Dr. Naeem Salik. And all of you who are really interested in knowing the genesis of nuclear deterrence in South Asia are requested to go through his book, a very foundational and a fundamental book on nuclear program of India and Pakistan and what were the security compulsions. Additionally, SVI on its website has also a lecture series of Dr. Naeem Salik, which you can also go through, and that will be also useful. So let me now start with today's proceedings. In the next 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I'll be talking about the nuclearization of South Asia. First of all, I'll talk about, next slide. Okay, I'll certainly touch about what are nuclear weapons and how different they are and why we need to consider what actually happened almost 85 years ago in USA as a result of a Manhattan Project. What was the nuclear revolution all about? And how it has to be translated into nuclear strategy and what are the problems? And finally, how in South Asia, India and Pakistan are managing and have developed their nuclear weapons. And then what are their doctrines and what are the peculiarities in this region? So first of all, let's have a look at the concept of nuclear weapons. Next.
We've all seen these images, the moments where we unlock the power to wipe ourselves out.
Yes, this is a short clip.
We've all seen these images, the moments where we unlock the power to wipe ourselves out. How did we get here? Let's rewind. In 1938, German scientists discovered that splitting atoms could release a huge amount of energy. This breakthrough, the discovery of nuclear fission, opened the door to both atomic power and the deadliest weapons ever conceived. Worried that Nazi Germany might get there first, the US launched a top-secret program called the Manhattan Project, with the aim of building a nuclear weapon. The $2 billion program employed more than 130,000 people, including some of the greatest minds in science. By mid-1945, Germany had surrendered and the war in Europe was over, but the US was still embroiled in a war with Japan and still preoccupied with building the ultimate bomb. The first nuclear test, known as the Trinity test, was conducted in the New Mexico desert. No one knew exactly what would happen. Some thought the test would fail. Others feared it might ignite the atmosphere. In the end, it worked, frighteningly well.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent.
That's nuclear physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, the man often called the father of the atomic bomb, reflecting here 2 decades after his test put America on the map as the world's first nuclear superpower. Within weeks, the US had 2 more working bombs: Little Boy, a uranium bomb, and Fat Man, made from plutonium. 2 nuclear weapons in their arsenal and 2 targets for their deployment, bringing us to one of the most devastating moments in modern history. On August 6, 1945, the US dropped an atomic bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. More than 150,000 people were killed, most of them civilians. Many more were left with injuries, burns, and radiation sickness.
With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction to supplement the growing power of our armed forces.
That's President Harry Truman announcing the bombings to the American public.
It is an atomic bomb. It is a harnessing of the basic power of the universe.
The Second World War was over, but the era of nuclear weapons was only just beginning. The Soviet Union successfully tested its own atomic bomb. Over the next 2 decades, the United Kingdom, France, and China joined the nuclear club, with increasingly more powerful nuclear weapons being detonated on land, at sea, even in space. Here's a British test in the Australian outback. And here's the most powerful nuclear blast in history. The Soviet Union's Tsar bomber had more than 1,500 times the explosive power of the Hiroshima bomb. Its mushroom cloud reached 60 kilometers into the sky. To get a sense of how often these tests were happening, check out this time-lapse animation by Japanese artist Isao Hashimoto. Each flash on the map and each ping of sound represents a nuclear explosion. This clip only shows 2 years' worth. All up, there's been more than 2,000 nuclear detonations. The fallout, literal and figurative, has been enormous. Radioactive contamination, destroyed ecosystems, displaced communities, lasting health issues like cancer and genetic mutations. Some areas are still too dangerous to live in. So in 1968, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty was signed. Its goal? Stop more countries from going nuclear and gradually reduce global stockpiles. But that didn't exactly happen. By 1986, the world had reached a peak of over 70,000 nuclear warheads, most belonging to the Soviet Union and the US. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, both countries agreed to reduce their deployed strategic warheads to no more than 6,000 each. So deployed strategic warheads are the ones mounted on missiles or bombers, ready to go at a moment's notice. The rest sit in stockpiles, in reserve, retired, or awaiting dismantling. But even with the Cold War over, the number of nuclear powers continued to grow. India, Pakistan, and Israel, none of whom signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty, all developed nuclear weapons. North Korea signed the treaty, then withdrew in 2003, and it's since carried out several nuclear tests. The US and Russia once again signed a new treaty in 2010, agreeing to further reduce their deployed warheads to 1,550 each, and that treaty is held to this day. But it is set to expire in 2026. The idea that's kept the world from using these weapons again is called mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The logic is simple. If one country launches a strike, the other will retaliate, and both sides will be destroyed. No winners, just mutual annihilation.
And yes, it is sadly ironic that in these modern times, it still takes weapons to prevent war. I wish it did not.
It might be mad, but it's kept things in check. So how long can it hold? China is dramatically expanding its nuclear arsenal and is expected to surpass 1,500 warheads by 2035. North Korea continues testing missiles. India and Pakistan are still developing theirs, and the UK recently announced it would increase its nuclear stockpile for the first time in decades. Which is why the doomsday clock set by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists to reflect how close humanity is to catastrophe is now at 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been. 80 years after Hiroshima, the world faces a critical question. Can we stop history from repeating itself? Here's the thing. For all the fear, all the stockpiles, all the close calls, we haven't used a nuclear weapon in war since 1945. Many nations have reduced their arsenals significantly. Some have dismantled entire programs. The number of warheads worldwide is a fraction of what it was during the height of the Cold War. And there's something else, awareness. We now understand what these weapons do. We've seen the aftermath in grainy black and white newsreels and in the radioactive scars still on this earth. That knowledge and memory is what pulls us back from the brink.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds. I suppose we all thought that, one way or another.
So I'm sure that after watching this clip, you can comprehend how these nuclear weapons have been developed and what is the devastating effect of these nuclear weapons. Now, let me share with you just a recap that, as we understand, there was a transition from chemical explosives to the nuclear explosives. So the atom, which is the building block of matter, so our understanding of the atom has moved from a simple indivisible sphere to subatomic particles like electron, proton, and neutron, to the discovery of isotopes and isobars, and to a complex. Now there's another challenge, the quantum. We are in the quantum physics, complex dynamic system governed by quantum mechanics. So this is the evolution of human understanding of the matter that changed what happened in 1945. Next. So we were able to build an atom bomb that was designed to release energy in an explosive manner as a result of nuclear fission, fusion, or both together. And the outcome of this energy is measured in kilotons equivalent and megatons equivalent to the weight of the conventional chemical explosive, that is normally TNT. And it produces immediate strong shock wave, enormous amount of heat, and a lethal ionizing radiation. That is the worst part of that is the most sustained damaging part of the nuclear explosion. This radioactive debris is carried by wind, later to settle on Earth as radioactive fallout, and it makes that portion of land uninhabitable for years and years. Next. So, as we have already seen, there are two routes to develop nuclear weapons. One is the uranium route and the other is the plutonium route. So actually both the routes start with the mining and milling, then conversion, then on the right side, fuel fabrication to heavy water reactors and reprocessing and plutonium separated, weapon grade plutonium and the weapon. On the uranium circle, after conversion of uranium into hexafluoride, there's an enrichment process, and then it turns into the weapon grade highly enriched uranium, and then finally we have a uranium nuclear arsenal. So these are the two routes. Next, please. So having seen the weapon itself, so let us look at the concept, how to use it. So the first proponent of nuclear strategy was Bernard Brodie. And this is the foundational, you can say the fundamental principle he laid out. And if you can understand what actually he wants to say, then you can understand what actually we need to do. So he says that thus far, the chief purpose of our military establishment has been to win wars. From now on, that is after the dawn of the nuclear age, its chief purpose must be to avert them. It can have almost no other useful purpose. I hope you can understand that. I have given you the handout. You go back and read it again and again. The military establishment, which has been over the years planning, equipping itself, organizing itself, training itself to win wars. Now the same establishment has to rethink that its only purpose now after the advent of nuclear weapons is only to avert war. That is what India needs to understand, and we are repeatedly trying that India should comprehend and understand that. Why? Because the nuclear weapons are immensely, highly destructive in nature, and virtually there is no possible defense against the nuclear weapons. It results into indiscriminate, instant mass killing and destruction of infrastructure. We have seen only the impact of 20 kiloton, and that too a very inefficient bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And as you have seen in this video clip, the different countries have developed the weapons which are 1,000 times more lethal than those fundamental rudimentary weapons. So you can imagine what kind of devastation and destruction these weapons can bring. Military defeat without destroying the armies. Now the civilization and the countries can be destroyed with their standing army right standing on the borders. Military victory is absolutely not possible. Next, please. So, मुझे तुम्हारा कुछ मेरे साथ कोऑर्डिनेशन ठीक नहीं है. Probably I think sir ये जो एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर है ना उनकी मौजूदगी में he is not playing smart with me. Be careful. अच्छा, ये होता है ऐसे ही है. अब डायरेक्टर रिसर्च कहाँ और ईडी कहाँ सर, वो भी डॉक्टर सालक, तो ख्याल रखना, बाद में मैं ही इधर होता हूँ. Anyway, nuclear strategy. Now, you all know that what is strategy? Strategy is about ends and means. There has to be an end, and there has to be something, resources, which is put into practice so that you can achieve those ends. ठीक है बात ये? You all know, you all practice every day that you want to get married. That is what? The ends. Huh? Those are the ends. So what are the means? Mama, I like that girl. Huh? Then the mama thinks, plans a strategy. Let's go and visit them. So that is how things work. So the problem is with the nuclear weapons, there are no ends that can be achieved with the use of nuclear weapons. No ends. Because the nuclear weapons fracture the bridge between ends and means. It destroys the ends itself also. वो उनको भी खा जाएगा. इतना बड़ा ये धमाका है. So nuclear strategy, therefore, is use of non-use. ये ऐसे थप्पड़ मारना है जिसमें हाथ इस्तेमाल ना हो. ऐसे चलना है कि जिसमें लातें इस्तेमाल ना हो. ऐसे देखना है जिसमें आंख ना हो. ऐसे सुनना है जिसमें कान ना हो. Oh. Now you see the complexity? That is why you are baffled and you are always thinking कि भाई ये nuclear weapon किधर है? So the kind of now thinking required to use nuclear weapons is more of a constructive nature. It is more of a conceptual, discursive practice rather than physical act. In the conceptual domain. देखिए हम used to हैं material physical domain में काम करने के. आप जब आर्मी अप्लाई करती थी तो वो फिजिकल डोमेन में कुछ ऑब्जेक्टिव, कंक्रीट फिजिकल ऑब्जेक्टिव अचीव करती थी. अब हमें जो जरूरत है वो ये है कि कंसेप्चुअल प्लेन में भी इसी तरीके से टेरिटरी थ्रू आर्गुमेंट अचीव की जाती है और लूज की जाती है. So when you as a student, your policy makers, as students or all, they are working in nuclear strategy, you are producing arguments whether you capture more territory in the conceptual domain and make your nuclear deterrence more effective, or you are getting into another struggle where the other side is thinking that, okay, they can move a little ahead. So here is the challenge. I would leave it to you how to think about this. Okay? Next, please. Acha, nuclear strategy, therefore, is use of non-use to deter adversary not to do an undesirable act. ये भी आपने conceptual conceive करना है. What is that undesirable act? ठीक है? We will talk, and I think my other fellows will let you know that what has happened in South Asia and how the nuclear deterrence has played its role. So the nuclear deterrence has a basic assumption. And that assumption says that states are rational actors. And we have seen that states normally behave because accumulative, collective human effort, once put together, too many people sitting together cannot think of a suicidal attempt. At least there are sane voices. That is what we have already seen. Few individuals in a closed, you can say, room can be mad, but larger groups do not get mad. So the states normally behave, they have advantages and disadvantages, cost benefit analysis, so they are rational actors. And the nuclear deterrence is based on these three fundamental concepts. Without a capability of having the nuclear weapons, of the required numbers, the designs, and then the delivery means. So these are the physical capabilities which you must have. And we are thankful to our scientists, engineers, and technicians. Even every single person who was working on the nuclear program has put everything, his life at stake. And certain people have even, laid their lives in this process to give us the kind of weapon or the kind of capability that Pakistanis today feel so confident that, despite India massing together every arsenal on the border, we were quite confident that they dare not cross the borderline. Then is the credibility. If I had to pick anything out of these three, I would pick credibility number one. Why? Because if you see your opponent anywhere, आप अगर अपने गली मोहल्ले में देखें, आप अपने किसी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में देखें, जिस शख्स का एतबार नहीं है, उसका कोई वजन नहीं है. आपको अपनी क्रेडिबिलिटी कि you whatever you say you mean it, and through your repeated actions you prove that whatever you say you will do it. ये थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लमैटिक है और ये लास्ट पॉइंट के साथ कनेक्टेड है कि आपको इरैशनैलिटी अपनी कम्युनिकेशन में इस तरह बिल्ड करनी पड़ती है कि you do not become a mad person, but at the same time you convey the opponent that you will cross these lines irrespective in case if the other side decides to cross the lines. ठीक है? ये वही game of chicken, if you those who haven't seen that, वो game of chicken है, I don't want to explain that, you already know that, कि वो होती है, अगर आप blink कर जाएंगे तो you will lose the essence of this entire concept of nuclear deterrence. जी, next please. Okay, so having sufficiently created that atmosphere and the background to make you understand what this weapon is all about, how it has revolutionized the entire spectrum of warfare, and how difficult it is to plan its employment. Now let us look at what has happened in South Asia. But before I do that, let's not be baffled and taken away by the ideas of the Cold War. The entire discourse which today we see on the nuclear strategy has been evolved during the Cold War. And Cold War had its own dynamics and they are over now. So let us look at these peculiar conditions of South Asia. As people knew that, the Russians and the Americans were far apart. There were a lot of buffer states between the European theater was there. But, I have my own position on that. If you turn the map, Americans and Russians were neighbors on the Alaskan side. But anyway, we go with the logic. So they were not neighbors, but actually India and Pakistan are geographically contiguous, very close. Anything happening inside Pakistan will have its impact on India. Imagine what happened in Chernobyl and in Pakistan. It was a controlled system which melted down without, and there was sufficient effort which was made to reduce the impact. Still, people in this part of the world also suffered the impact. So whatever will happen in India or Pakistan, both the countries will have the impact. Conventional asymmetry, we do talk about that. Let's not, for this moment, we pass over that. There is a huge conventional asymmetry, but what makes Pakistan to stand and, to cover this asymmetry is the nuclear factor. Despite having conventional, there's a large number of conventional advanced technologies. India was unable to put full weight of that technology against Pakistan. Why? The nuclear factor. Territorial disputes. There's a consistent, perpetual hostility because of Kashmir issue. We have a claim. We will continue to have the claim. We are ready to fight 1,000 years battle, as Bhutto said, and we will continue to pursue and support our Kashmiri brethren because they have internationally accepted right of self-determination. So that will perpetually remain there. Nuclear forces and strategy is evolving. Strategic stability. The ABM shield when India so-called is creating is giving them a false sense of protection, and that is hindering or creating problem for strategic stability. Right-wing fundamentalist tendency. This is the most, I think, the most worrying issue in India-Pakistan conflicts. The BJP and RSS nexus. So we need to put forward and we need to focus and tell the world that this is going to be the madness of the Indian ideology, which is doing ill service to its own people, own minority, and will have a serious threat for the region. Let's see. So with this, a short overview of the Indian nuclear program. India wanted to achieve great power status. The famous third eye argument of I.K. Gujral. Once he says that I have a third eye with which I look at the international system, and I find that all the P5s have nuclear weapons. So India, if wants to have international status, must have nuclear weapons. We never had that kind of ambition. Started nuclear program in 1945, 2 years before their independence, with an open military option. Crossed the technological threshold in February 1964, not in October 64. And what happened in October 64? The Chinese test. They already developed commissioned their plutonium reprocessing plant before that. And there is no useful purpose of plutonium other than a nuclear weapon. That's all. Plutonium extracted from Cyrus, which was imported from Canada using the Canadian and the American technology. They stole the plutonium and used it for the 1974 test. And they keep telling people that, it is indigenous program. Conducted second round of tests on 11th and 13th May 1998. Next, please. A brief overview of the Indian nuclear doctrine. You already have the handouts. It first drafted on 17 December by NSAB, National Security Advisory Board. Credible minimum deterrence, no first use policy, nuclear command control under Prime Minister, triad of nuclear forces. See the dichotomy. They are trying to achieve triad and at the same time minimum nuclear deterrence. Negative security assurance except those aligned with nuclear states. So see, this also got changed. So negative security assurances were extended to all non-nuclear weapon states. Massive retaliation instead of, this was for the first time introduced. Use of nuclear weapons in the event of major attack against Indian forces anywhere, outside even India. And even chemical and biological attacks were also included in that. Commitment to participate in FMCT, and though we must not forget, this is also very important. Next, please. So Pakistani nuclear program showed interest in nuclear science and technology in 1955 after US announced its Atom for Peace program. It was totally a peaceful program. Let me say Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and others who were having a keen eye on an Indian nuclear program felt the need of developing nuclear program in 1965, but it was not pursued. But later, 1971, dismemberment. And the slogan was, never again. Ab aisa nahi hoga. That moved the establishment, and then Bhutto was in power, and he, within days of taking position, moved everyone else, rallied them around, and gave them the task to start developing nuclear weapons. Had India not conducted 1974 test, it would not have given the impetus, the enthusiasm, the do and die, you can say, the formula for Pakistan to develop nuclear weapons. So we did thought of developing nuclear weapons in 71, but the real impetus came when India conducted 1974 test. Achieved the weapon capability in mid-80s. We conducted hot tests. No, cold tests. We conducted the cold test without, but we were sufficiently confident that in case if required, we could use a conduct a nuclear test. You know, on 11th and 13th May, do you think that we were not prepared for that? We were prepared in 80s. You know, it is not possible that, you know, if you get an alarm that, you know, today you are going to have a nuclear test, there were large tunnels. And Dr. Bhatt Sahab is here. He's going to give us all the details if anybody is interested in that. That it is not an easy thing for a nation to conduct nuclear test on a very short notice. Everything was put in place. Only the political decision was pending. So once it was taken, so the results were there. Pakistan initially based its nuclear program on uranium and then pursued plutonium also, responded to nuclear test on 28th and 30th May. Never we conducted the test for the first time. It was Indian nuclear tests which were responded by us. Remember, keep this point in mind. Next, please. Our nuclear doctrine is around minimum credible deterrence. Why full spectrum deterrence? It is a problem. Yes, I understand that. But once India started playing with the cold start doctrine, Pakistan had no other option but to introduce this FSD. So if India does not go that track, so FSD also gets relegated and we go to the minimum credible deterrence. Strategic restraint regime is right there. We offer them and still it is yet not been accepted. Non-deployment of ballistic missiles, no operational weaponization. So these are the four elements you must always remember. These are already there in the on the you can say the proposal out there. Indians refuse to accept that. Next, please. The last slide. Okay, Indian nuclear weapon program, as we know, is a prestige-driven program. They do talk about China, but I told you they've developed nuclear weapons before the Chinese test, at least the infrastructure. Nuclearization and the threat of escalation has constrained. So we have seen after 1998, there had been multiple crises, but both sides were very cautious. Gradually, you know, they could not cross certain lines which were not supposed to. So undesirable act. Decision makers to avoid all-out war. So Indian nuclear doctrine is now gradually shifting away from minimum deterrence and no first use policy. This is a problem. So they are thinking of other things that would be dangerous. Pakistan already do not subscribe to NFU for obvious reasons. So we can discuss that. Indian effort to explore space for limited war with Pakistan has the potential to escalate. Why? Because there can be mistakes. There can be accidents. So we suggest that, and at least we propose also, that there should be a restraint regime so that countries or people of both the countries are saved from the catastrophe of use of nuclear weapons. So thank you very much for bearing with me. Now I hand you over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Sure. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Pervez Bhatt Sahab, the distinguished guests, respected scholars, and future thought leaders. Assalamu alaikum. It is an honor to address this distinguished gathering at the Strategic Vision Institute to commemorate Youm-e-Takbir, a day of immense national significance, not merely the commemoration of a technological feat, but a solemn affirmation of sovereignty through strategy and peace through preparedness. And the most important fact I wish to emphasize today is this, that Alhamdulillah, Pakistan's nuclear safety and security architecture is second to none. We often hear about deterrence in terms of delivery platforms, doctrine, or warhead counts. But deterrence does not begin at the missile. It begins behind it in the systems, controls, and confidence-building layers that sustain it. In the nuclear age, deterrence credibility rests not only on the ability to attack or retaliate, but on the ability to control, contain, and calibrate. That starts with safety and security. Since 1998, Pakistan has developed a systematized command and control regime governed not by individual will, but by institutional design. At its apex sits the Nuclear Command Authority, operationalized by a Strategic Plans Division as its secretariat. This is no ceremonial structure. It is doctrinally coherent, technically integrated, and stress tested across multiple simulations and real-world crises. Let me give you specifics. Pakistan is among the very few nuclear weapon states with dedicated nuclear custody and security force structure. Our protocols involve redundancy, not role separation, and multi-layer authentication, meaning no single person can access, arm, or deploy a nuclear asset at any stage. In crisis situations, such as the one we experienced recently, the Nuclear Command Authority remains always and fully prepared to operate if nuclear deterrence breaks down. Yet, our nuclear posture is deliberately structured to ensure that nuclear weapons can never be used accidentally or inadvertently. Pakistan's command, control, and security architecture effectively resolves the so-called always-never dilemma. Always ready when required, never at risk of unauthorized use. Our personnel reliability program and human reliability program are exhaustive. They include psychological profiling, financial audits, behavioral surveillance, and periodic revetting. Pakistan nuclear command and control infrastructure is not just operational, it is legally codified through landmark legislation, including the Nuclear Command Authority Act of 2010, the Pakistan Atomic Energy Ordinance of 1965, the Pakistan Nuclear Regulatory Authority Ordinance of 2001, and Strategic Export Control Act of 2004. These laws ensure that policy regulation, operations, and oversight operate in distinct but integrated domains. When I say our weapons are invisible to unscrutinized, I mean that there is no point in the chain where access or movement happens without a known, observed, and accountable decision trail. Every action is logged. Every access is recorded. There are no gaps, no freelancing, no improvisation. Ladies and gentlemen, often terms like nuclear safety and security are used interchangeably, but they are distinct. Safety means protecting people and environment from unintended consequences of nuclear technology through shielding, containment, and redundancy. Security means protecting nuclear technology from people, including sabotage, insider threats, cyber intrusions, or theft. However, the International Atomic Energy Agency recognized definition of safety is, I quote, the achievement of proper operating conditions, prevention of accidents, or mitigation of accidental consequences, resulting in protection of workers, the public, and the environment from undue radiation hazards, end quote. This definition, adopted by Pakistan through PNRA's regulatory frameworks, forms the bedrock of our nuclear safety philosophy and regulatory compliance. In Pakistan, nuclear safety and security system, we employ physical protection systems like layered barriers, electronic surveillance, and biometric access. We have cybersecurity with air-gapped controls, anomaly detection, and penetration testing. We have multi-layer access controls, including two-person rules. And we do emergency response drills regularly rehearsed with cross-institutional units. But beyond hardware and software, there is a philosophy, a governing logic I shall call the 3S doctrine: systemized safety, sanitized command chain, and sovereign stewardship. Systemized safety, our processes are improvised, they are codified, rehearsed, and subject to real audit and upgrade. Our sanitized command chain authority is deliberate and redundant, not centralized and opaque. And in our sovereign stewardship, assertive control rests with the security division of the strategic plans division. I tend to call our security architecture as a biometric vault. Allow me to offer a metaphor for clarity. Think of 3 layers of nuclear custodial systems: a lock, simple, predictable, vulnerable, versus a code, which is better but static and hackable, versus a biometric vault, which is intelligent, adaptive, and breach responsive. Pakistan's security system functions like the biometric vault. Our 2-person rule ensures that no single actor can access or arm a weapon. Our integrated security architecture is live monitored, temper altered, and subject to surprise inspections and breach drills. Our cybersecurity infrastructure includes air-gapped segments, simulated red team penetration attempts, and machine learning-based intrusion detection. This is not technology, it's architecture governed by anticipation, not reaction. Let us now turn to an important reality. Pakistan's nuclear security record is not only strong, it is foolproof, alhamdulillah. We are confident about our nuclear security, but not complacent. There has never been a single breach, leak, unauthorized access, or near miss involving Pakistan's nuclear assets. That is a record many advanced nuclear armed states cannot match. Let me briefly contrast this with publicly documented incidents from other nuclear weapon states. In 2007, the US Air Force mistakenly transported 6 nuclear warheads across the country undetected for over 36 hours. In 2012, a theft attempt at Los Alamos National Laboratory exposed severe insider weakness. In 2019, UK Royal Navy admitted to an accidental missile launch during submarine drills due to faulty communication. And in India, multiple safety and security breaches have been reported, including uranium thefts, physical access gaps, and fire and radiation incidents documented by independent monitors and think tanks, including our own Strategic Vision Institute. You must read their work. These are not accusations. These are facts verified by audit reports and open source records. Pakistan, by contrast, has institutionalized prevention as a doctrine, not as an afterthought. Every process is geared towards failure resilience. The system must function even when individuals fail. That is the true meaning of a responsible nuclear weapon state. Some assume nuclear security is best prevented through silence, and we strongly disagree. Our centers of excellence like PAEC, Pakistan Institute of Engineering and Applied Sciences, Nasir, the National Institute for Safety and Security, PSENS, Pakistan Center of Excellence for Nuclear Security, function not only as national assets, but also as international training hubs designated by IAEA collaborating centers. Through these institutions, Pakistan has trained thousands of experts from over 40 countries, reinforcing global nuclear security culture. Pakistan considers nuclear security its sovereign responsibility, a principle accepted universally. Yet we have opted for a doctrine of engagement with prudence, and we remain engaged with IAEA, contributing to nuclear safety and security standards. We are participants in multilateral confidence building mechanisms and crisis response modeling, and we are open to international verification of safety frameworks without compromising national sovereignty. There are no lone wolves, no storage ambiguities, and no bureaucratic confusion about our command chains. In nuclear stewardship, ambiguity is a vulnerability, and Pakistan chooses clarity without compromise. Ladies and gentlemen, let me now touch briefly on the recent India-Pakistan crisis without operational specifics. It was a stress test, as I earlier said, and Pakistan passed. India attempted to reshape deterrence thresholds, through limited strikes under the shadow of nuclear ambiguity, it was another failed attempt at normalizing space for war. Pakistan responded through quid pro quo plus, a calibrated, conventional, proportionate operation that restored conventional deterrence without escalation. Pakistan Air Force and Fatah series missiles were credibly deployed and used. No escalation beyond the conventional envelope was needed. Crucially, nuclear deterrence successfully held as the backstop, not because of delay or indecision, but because of confidence in conventional capability and confidence in command clarity. The firebreak, a conceptual and operational barrier between conventional and nuclear operations, was not crossed despite information warfare. What is a firebreak? A firebreak is the deliberate gap between two escalation thresholds. It ensures that a conventional clash does not automatically invite nuclear inference. We didn't blur this boundary, we enforced it. That is discipline, and discipline is what separates mature deterrence from trigger-based doctrines. Distinguished colleagues, deterrence is not static, neither are the threats we face. The future of nuclear safety lies not only in physical custody or access control, it lies in our ability to adapt to new and emerging technological frontiers. For instance, AI, artificial intelligence, will enhance real-time decision-making, but it may also introduce machine speed escalation risk if not properly governed. Quantum computing could challenge encryption standards and make secure communications and launch authorizations vulnerable unless upgraded. Autonomous unmanned platforms could blur the lines between kinetic force and deterrence signaling, increasing the risk of attribution ambiguity. So Pakistan's strategic institutions are not waiting to react to these changes. We are proactively anticipating them. Any nuclear power's thought process and planning would incorporate AI-driven adversary scenarios. Any nuclear weapon states would be alive to threats of cyber breaches and spoofing. Our new research initiatives, and this is a thought for you, in think tanks and universities may consider examining space-based monitoring, decision assurance protocols, and AI bias mitigation that could affect command support systems. In the nuclear era, the test is not possession, it is protection through foresight. Let me now close by returning to where I began, the meaning of Youm-e-Takbir. Takbir, the declaration of faith, is not a slogan of force, but a statement of conviction, self-respect, and sovereignty. In 1998, Pakistan's message was not, we will strike, it was, we will not be subdued. That same spirit of calm, strength is what I call tamkeen, a beautiful Arabic term connoting deliberate calm and anchored self-control. This posture reflects not just national interest, but global responsibility. Our nuclear deterrent today reflects both takbir, the readiness to defend, and tamkeen, the wisdom to prevent. Let us be clear, our program is not a celebration of power. It is a solemn stewardship of peace. It is not the size of a nation's arsenal, but the maturity of its control, the transparency of our norms, and the restraint of Pakistani leaders that determines strategic credibility. To the young minds present here today, you inherit not just technology, but trust, not just policy, but response, not just weapons, but wisdom. Let your generation guard not only Pakistan's deterrence, but its dignity in peace, its discipline in crisis, and its direction and responsible power. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we move to our last speaker, who is Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed. We'll be talking about peaceful uses of nuclear technology. Sir, floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. In the time that the presentation is loaded, my topic was the peaceful use of nuclear technology. But I think that this is a misnomer, because that would mean the word peaceful means that there is some other use of nuclear technology. It is the other use of nuclear technology, and this weapon use is a byproduct. The actual use of nuclear technology is for your life, your everyday life. And in my presentation, I'd like to show to you that it's not glass half empty, it's glass half full. And nuclear has so much to offer to each and every aspect of your daily life that without it would probably go back about 500 years. So, yes, thank you. So my presentation, instead of peaceful use of nuclear technology, is nuclear for life. Next, please. Okay, so the first question is, what is nuclear science and technology? So you must understand what nuclear science and technology is. Nuclear is the understanding the universe and the world at the atomic level. So if you have understanding of anything at the atomic level, that is where you understand each and every aspect of that thing. Once you understand the atom, you understand the world, and you can harness science to use it for your own betterment. Nuclear science is at the bottom level of all current technologies. You can't have mobile phones, you can't have power, you can't have anything unless there is understanding of the atom at the bottom of everything. So unfortunately, nuclear science now, whenever you talk of it, people only think of nuclear weapons, but that is far from the truth. I will try in this lecture to show you some of the everyday use of nuclear technology that you do not encounter because of this bias against nuclear. Next, please. Okay, so I'll show you what nuclear can do for you. What do you require for life? You require food, nutrition, clothing, disease prevention, treatment, affordable and clean energy, employment and work, education and training, conducive climate, clean water, clean air, clean environment. Isn't it what everybody needs for life? So I'll show you what nuclear can do for all of those things. Well, it would take too long, but I'll just skim through some of these facts just to introduce you to them. Next, please. Okay. The most urgent requirement is food, because you can't live without food and water. So what provides you that food? It's agriculture, right? And it employs 60% employment in Pakistan. It provides raw materials, your shirt, your boots, everything you wear. It comes one way or the other from agriculture. Now, where is nuclear working in this area? You see, we are now more than 8 billion people on the world, and you need food. In the beginning of the 19th century, there were 1 billion people on Earth. In just 125 years, that has reached from 1 billion to more than 8 billion. How do you feed those people? Can you imagine the amount of food that you need? And not just the amount of food, the higher level and category of food that is now available was not available 100 years ago. So how did it all come about? One has to look at it. We have, through different techniques, including nuclear mutation breeding, we've developed new varieties of flour, genetically modified these so that they can produce more at less inputs and are resistant to diseases, are resistant to drought, require less water. So That is what you need to do to grow more food. So that is where nuclear is working. At the level of preparing better plants, better seeds, so that you can have better food. Then where do you grow that seed? You need soil. You need soil fertility. You need irrigation technologies so that you can supply water to it. Where do those come from? Nuclear technology provides information on what is in the soil, what is missing, how do you make the plant get more nutrition from the soil, how do you maintain the fertility of the soil so that after 10 years, it's not able to produce anything. So you do that. Then you irrigation system, where does that water come from? From canals, rivers, from sky. How do you utilize it better? Where is it being lost? How can you move that water safely to your plants? How do you do those studies? You do those studies to nuclear isotopes. They tell you where the water is seeping, where it is moving, where is it coming from, where is it going. So all that you use nuclear technology to do better irrigation. Of course, meat is an essential requirement. Animal breeding is, we need a lot of food, so you need to breed those animals in a proper way. Nuclear technology provides means of assessing when it is the best time so that you do insemination and produce better animals, how to keep them healthy, how to protect them from diseases. So nuclear technology at the grassroots is helping us have better animals, healthier animals, and produce more animals in the least possible time. And even if you have very good crops, the main danger is insects and pests. A lot of the products are lost because insects and pests attack those plants and cause losses. So nuclear technology provides how you can breed insects that will not reproduce. I will come to some of these later on. So over here, I'm just giving you all these main lines. Then the problem of is of course, you use insecticides. If you're not using nuclear technology, that goes into the plants and your food chain. How do you assess if it is proper to eat or not? Nuclear techniques are used to measure chemical residue in food and in pollution in your environment. And of course, food preservation, I'll come in the last. So next, please. So I'll go now in a little detail about some of these things that I'm showing you. Well, it's not very clear, I'm sorry. But this is just for what we have done in Pakistan. We have 150 new varieties developed through nuclear technology in our agriculture, and you can see that they increase our major crops like cotton, wheat, rice, beans, and all fruits and lentils. These seeds have been developed through mutation breeding, nuclear mutation breeding. So now they are part of our agriculture every day, and they contribute billions of dollars to our economy. Next, please. And just to show you the percentage of these main varieties, if you see rice, more than 40%, cotton, about 60%, mung beans, more than 65%, chickpeas, more than about 85%. So these are the contributions of main crops that these mutation seeds are contributing in Pakistan. They are not just more efficient, that they produce more, they are resistant to droughts and diseases as well. Next, please. Then soil. You see, when we were young, you probably don't remember, there was this, every school in 4 or 5 class, you had this chapter on Semontor, the salination of soil and the water level table rising. So that was a major problem in the 60s because of the irrigation canal, and everybody was worried that we will lose all our agriculture because of this problem. So this is before, when you have salt, nothing grows on piece of land when you have salt. In PAEC, we developed technologies through nuclear technology so that you make that land usable through specialized plants that animals can feed on. So you produce animals on one side and you bring fertility back to the soil so that later on you can plant your crops in it. So this is soil fertility increase through nuclear technology. Next. So I'm giving you specific examples so that you can understand that it's not just I'm talking in air, but these are specific examples. Then some of the areas where nuclear technology is being used, determination of groundwater recharge, surface water and groundwater interaction, runoff analysis. I mean, these are all essential requirements to run a successful agriculture. How to harness your resources better. And all of these, like leakage from lakes and dams, measurement of discharge in streams, measurements of underground groundwater flow, you cannot do through any other means except isotope hydrology. So these are things that are being done in Pakistan. These are not something that are being done in all over in the world. These are things being done in Pakistan. Using nuclear technology to develop biofertilizers so that instead of these commercial industrial fertilizers, we develop fertilizers that are more environmentally friendly. Okay. So Chairman PAEC, former Chairman PAEC, Pervez Bhatt is here, and he's more intimately knowledgeable about anything that I'm saying. But anyway, yes. Yes. Okay. So PAEC has about 4 agriculture centers in Pakistan because we have different types of climates. One is in Sindh, which is, has a different climate. So you have 2 in Punjab, which is the main breadbasket. You have NIPJ, which is a Nuclear Institute for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. And you have NIAB, which is Nuclear Institute for Biology and Agriculture, right? So these institutes are located in different crop regions. And then there's one in Peshawar, which caters for the other type of mountainous agriculture. So these institutions spread over the country do their work in their specialized crop zones so that we cover all type of areas so that the proper benefits are available. So these, some of these products, NIPG, like Dr. Saib always said, these are producing these various technologies that are being used all over the country. Next, please. Okay. Actually, people are not aware that 40% of farmers' incomes actually come from farm animals. They sell meat, they sell milk, and all that. So a lot of without these animals, farms are not sustainable. So it's very important for them that we provide help in terms of how they can get better return for their investment in the animals, how they can protect them from diseases, how you can better breed them so that you get better and more number of animals. So all of these work is being conducted at NIAB in Faisalabad. Next, please. So I talked about insect and pest control. Now, through nuclear techniques, what we do is we raise males which are infertile and release them in large numbers in the environment, and they don't breed. So the amount of animals or insects in the environment decreases without any pesticides. This is a very standard method, and a lot of this technology is now employed all over the world for pest control. So you have an integrated pest control systems in which all of these aspects are brought together. You rear animals or breeds of animals that eat those pests. So it's not just sterile insects, you rear other insects which eat those insects. So that without using for insecticides, you can get rid of the problem of pests. Next, please. I talked about chemical residue in food. Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission has the only certified laboratory in the country that can test food to see if there's any chemical contamination, biological contamination, any, say, pesticides present in there. So this is a only accredited lab, so that whenever you want to export something, you need to get a license from this lab to show that it does not contain any of those things. So this is contributing a lot to the export of agricultural products. Next, please. Okay. Food preservation, you know, you lose about 20 to 35% food every year. That's a huge amount of food. And where does it go? It rots. So you have to say, you have to have techniques of food preservation, although currently they are just very small amount of irradiation being carried out. But now a number of setups are being set up all over the country so that all those food that is irradiated so that it does not spoil. Once you irradiate it, it kills all the insects, the bacteria inside the food so that you can hold it for a long time. And there are also requirements when you want to export certain items that they have to be clean, certified that they are clean of these through nuclear radiation. We irradiate them and they become clean of bacteria. So this is going on now. We are developing ion beam setups all over the country so that this can be done on a large industrial scale. Next, please. Well, we seem to be a country sometimes having a lot of disasters. So through nuclear technologies, we developed a term ready-to-eat meal. So it's just, it's packed inside, you warm it up, and then you eat it. So that technology, which was developed by NIFA in Peshawar, is now being used, it's been distributed to other countries as well. And a lot of these ready-to-eat meals are being made so that in disaster like floods or anywhere, you can distribute them and people can eat food that is safe. So this is just one of the disaster management contributions of the nuclear technology. Next, please. Okay. After food, health. So what is nuclear doing? Now, nuclear people don't realize that all the diagnostic procedures, well, probably 90% of them rely on nuclear technology. They are now commonplace diagnostic things that doctors use every day. But these behind them is the nuclear technology. Like initially we used to use X-rays for just bones. Now you can do other type of scans that can scan your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys. All these are just nuclear-driven technologies so that you can do internal analysis of these organs without cutting them up and get a very accurate picture of the condition of these organs, which are essential for your life through these nuclear technologies. Next, please. So Pakistan entered this field in the 1960s, actually, when the first nuclear medical center was opened in Karachi. Now we have 20 that are being run by PAEC, and then there are about 50 in the country, with 30 of them being run by private organizations as well. So all of these nuclear medical centers are providing, are equipped with latest instruments, providing modern nuclear medicine for cancer treatments and other diagnostic techniques, as well as scans and everything. Only in PAEC hospitals, about 1 million patients go through every year. So you can imagine these, that 1 million people go through these center every year for either follow-up, diagnostic processes, or treatment of cancer or other things. Now, to do these processes, you need isotopes. And these all isotopes have very short lives, so you can't really import them every week. So you have to make them yourself. So we have a research reactor in Pinstock, which is making these isotopes like technetium 99 and iodine 131. So these are all being produced locally and are supplied to all our hospitals, whether private or government hospitals. And then you probably wouldn't know that in the recent COVID epidemic, the PCR test is actually a nuclear-derived test. That is now used as a standard test for diagnosis of COVID. It's a nuclear technique that is now used. So that's why PAEC is far ahead in providing these diagnostic tests. Next, please. So if you look at the picture, although 50 out of the 50, only 20 are PAEC hospitals, they still cater for 80% of the patients. So you can see, because they are cheap and they are located everywhere in the country and people have access to them. So a lot of them, okay, so a lot of them have access to it. Next, please. I only have 2 minutes, so I won't be able to complete it, but I just wanted to give you a flavor of what nuclear can do for you and how nuclear is important for your life. So these are some of the scans that you go through every day, these instruments, like a CT scan, the PET scan, the linear accelerator. What are these instruments? These are nuclear technology developments that are used every day in every hospital, every corner of the world. Next, please. So DEXA scan, mammography. Oh, so there's a long list. Next, please. I'll just finish with the nuclear energy and leave the rest because there's no time for it. Currently, 6 plants are in operation in Pakistan, more than 3,500 megawatts. One is under construction at Chashma. Next, please. Next. Now, this is a graph you should look very carefully. This is the contribution or the availability of those plants. And if you look, green are the nuclear plants. They are available 80% of the time. If you look at others, hardly any plant type of hydro, IPPs, thermal plants are available more than 50% of the time. That is the reason that you have to go through load shedding, because these plants are not available when you need them. But look at the nuclear plants. They are available almost all the time in the year. Next, please. And look at the tariff. And this is about 2 years old, I think, but you can still, the average tariff of the nuclear plants is less than almost all the rest. So it's just not available energy, it's cheap energy. Next, please. Now, the greatest crisis facing mankind currently is the climate change. And why is it climate change is this? CO2, carbon dioxide, greenhouse gas. And look, and a 1,000 megawatt coal plants produces 6 million tons of CO2 per year. Look, a nuclear plant produces 0. So I'll leave you with this slide. And thank you very much. If you have any questions, maybe. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we will move to question answer session. I'll take some questions from the audience who is here, and then we'll move to some of the questions online. Please introduce yourself and be brief in your questions and comments. Please, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Yasin Sultan. I'm a lecturer from Naval University. I have a question to Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, though it's going to be a bit different type of question because now after this Pahalgam and all the things escalation, the biggest challenge faced by Pakistan is in the field of economics at the moment. So I think the biggest issue is of the higher price of energy produced by the IPPs. And as a result, we cannot compete with the international market because the cost of production is very high. So a lot of things they have done by Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission, no doubt, the data which you have shared. So what are the future plans that we will see more nuclear reactors so that the energy production can be increased? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Although Dr. Parvez Vatsab is here, who is actually the master of nuclear power program of Pakistan. So he's here. He has started his work in Canop. So actually, the time frame of installation of nuclear requires is larger compared to other power plants. Although it is more efficient, it is cheaper, but its construction time from the point of you decide to have a nuclear plant can be over 5 years. And the initial investment is large. Unfortunately, because of the economic crisis of Pakistan, Pakistan is always under economic crisis. You require a stable amount of financial support to install a nuclear power plant. Once you install it, it pays back itself within 10, 15 years, right? And you have a life of a nuclear plant, unlike other conventional plants, is very high. Now it's almost 80 years. And some plants can run more than 100 years. So you can imagine the cost being divided over 100 years. It's almost nothing. But the initial cost is large. So because of a country like us, which always has a balance of payment problem, installing a nuclear plant costs, and the government is not very conducive to spending that money on a long-term basis. But anyway, there is Chashma 5 under construction. It is a 1200 megawatt. Currently, if you see in terms of installed capacity, nuclear is 7%, but in terms of how much it contributes, it's all more than 15%. Sometimes it's as high as 29%. Right? So if there is this financial support, nuclear plants can be constructed in 5 to 6 years. And beside other benefits, which I have not talked about because of the shortage of time. Anyway, it's the political support that is required. Otherwise, nuclear can be a major contributor in the electric grid of Pakistan.
If I may just add 2 points to what Dr. Saab just said. You see, after Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011, there was a great scare about nuclear energy that was created. And not many people realized that not a single person was lost because of nuclear energy. And owing to 2 reasons, there has been renaissance of nuclear energy globally. In Germany, which took the lead, and elsewhere in the West. And it is for 2 reasons. One is for information processing in the digital age, in which you need to process information at very high speeds, AI generation, etc. You need more energy, and that base load capacity does not lie with other sources of energy. That is provided by the nuclear energy. The other imperative is of the digital economy, the cryptocurrency mining, etc., which people were very scared of, and later entire world has embraced cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. So for these 2 reasons, you see even in countries which have maximum number of nuclear power plants are even resuscitating their old nuclear power plants, and the private sector is buying nuclear power plants in US and elsewhere to process the huge amount of electricity that they need to run their processors, etc., and likewise for mining. So I think it is not only the aspects that Dr. Saab was mentioning. There are these 2 other imperatives for which we have to do this. I could speak at length about this, but these are 2 very important imperatives that you must think about. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I have two questions. First question is from Dr. Nasir. I'm Shida Rahman, so I'm sorry I forgot to introduce myself. Sir, first question is relating to, as you have said, that nuclear deterrence is, or the deterrence is all about preventing the adversary from taking any undesirable action. So for Pakistan, undesirable is the suspension of Indus-Water Treaty. Do you think that that nuclear deterrence will work in this case too? Sir, my second question is to Sir Zahir Kazmi, that as you see that since the nuclearization of South Asia, India has not been able to exercise its conventional advantage over Pakistan. So this is the situation which is termed as sub-strategic paralysis for India. And to come out of this sub-strategic paralysis, India is advised to adopt limited nuclear options strategy. If India adopts this strategy in future or goes for any kind of adventurism, do you think that Pakistan's nuclear strategy and infrastructure will be able to cater this adventurism by India?
I'll break some ground for Nasir. First, the Indus Water Treaty. Indus Water Treaty, I think one of our political leaders made a beautiful statement. He said that if there's no water in our rivers, then the blood will flow there. So I think India is going to shoot itself in foot if it tries to stop water of these rivers. And India is not the upper riparian, it is the middle riparian in the region. So I leave it at that. Just think about India being the middle riparian in this region. That's one. The second is that there are some red lines that a state can never cross, and it can cross it in a few days, in few months, not even few years. You require huge infrastructure to develop that type of capability to store and divert water. And if India goes beyond this rhetoric of holding this treaty in abeyance or withdrawing from the treaty, it will be very consequential for them. So they know what they're doing, and they know the consequences of that. Your second question about India trying to, once India lost its conventional advantage over Pakistan, and now trying to go for limited operations in a manner that it doesn't cross the nuclear Rubicon and still able to gain a notion of victory. I think I link it to another trend which is pervasive nowadays. And just after the crisis, if you read the assessments that have come from across the border and even from some portions of the West, is that India has perhaps been able to create a new normal and has been able to win the space for limited conflict under the nuclear overhang. I think that's a misplaced notion for two reasons. Number one is the concept of so-called deterrence breakdown. Deterrence is a generalized term once people use it, and they assume that they are talking about nuclear deterrence breakdown. Actually, what has been normalized is Pakistan's response each time at the conventional level and stopping India and restoring the conventional deterrence without getting into the nuclear domain. So while the nuclear domain has worked as the backstop, our conventional response, especially this time, has proven, be it the Pakistan Air Force, be it our Fatah series of missiles and other capabilities, we have repeatedly proved in all these crises, right from the time once they created this so-called Cold Star Doctrine, Pakistan poured cold water on the Cold Star Doctrine by saying that we have a full spectrum deterrence at conventional, operational, and strategic levels, in which your short-range ballistic missiles, nuclear-capable missiles like Nasir, would deter them at the tactical level. likewise at the operational level, and likewise at the strategic level. So the onus of nuclear deterrence breakdown is on India. And once Cold Star doctrine failed, they tried other options, even in this false flag operation of Pahalgam, and blaming it on Pakistan and responding conventionally, adding new sorts of weapon systems, etc., in targeting Pakistan. But I think it has been repeatedly proven by Pakistan that there is no space for war under the nuclear overhang. I hope I answered your question.
अच्छा सर इसमें
I would advise you to look at the map of the world. If you look at the map, if you look at Europe and see the rivers, there are so many rivers which come from one country, go through another country, go through another country, and then go fall into the sea or the lake. And similarly in America, there are rivers which come from Canada to America, and there are rivers which go from United States to Canada, and so on, so forth in South Africa. So sharing of river water is an international phenomenon. And nobody can stop us from sharing river water which comes from India to Pakistan.
Achha sir, I think I would like to only respond to a portion of your question, that is undesirable act. What is undesirable act for a state? For this, we have to go back to the concept of state. The state system is based on few principles, and one is survival. If you can somehow or the other can manage the survival, so the survival is the only element that is undesirable for the state. You cannot respond to every action with the nuclear weapons. This dilemma was faced by the Americans against the Soviets in Europe. That if they cross the border and fire a single bullet, will that be responded by nuclear weapons? I think not. So in case of India also, if India uses its air force or fire some shots against Pakistan, do you think that the survival of the state is at stake? If that is not the case, and state is still surviving, not only the state, but even the people are enjoying, and they are, celebrating on the kind of memes which we have seen. So they have not been deterred by the enemy shots, even deep inside the territory. So the state is surviving. So imagine, had we not had the nuclear weapons, these Indians with that Hindutva doctrine would have done, because they already claimed that they would capture the Pakistani Azad Kashmir or the Gilgit-Baltistan area, and they have a concept of Akhand Bharat. They still believe that this is vivisection, that the partition of India and Pakistan, the subcontinent, has to be reverted back. So had we not had the nuclear weapons, with all the might, all the sophisticated weapons and equipment which they have, they would have attempted that. But they haven't done that. They dare not do that because of the nuclear weapons. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your very educative lectures and sessions. And I would greatly appreciate all of the speakers for giving us a very great, crisp, clear, and concise insights on nuclear dynamics. Very quick two questions, although some of them have already been asked. First, I'm sorry, I'm Mohsen Azhar Shah from National Defense University. I'm lecturer there at SS Department. So being a lecturer, I face many questions about nuclear strategy and the deployment of nuclear weapons. Some of these follow like this, that particularly, how do you see the issue of entanglement, where dual use systems, which are being more and more used, in the wars between India and Pakistan, how can they impact deterrent stability? So this is one aspect of it. And connected with this is some of the students have said if some of the nuclear installations or nuclear arsenals are targeted incidentally during a conventional crisis, then how would the escalation ladder look like? Thank you very much, sir. I would ask.
Right. Mohsen Saab, thank you for asking these very profound questions. For those who couldn't hear him, I'll repeat what he just said. He said that the case of nuclear entanglement, you raised a technical term which is coming in vogue, in which dual use systems are used, which are apparently conventional but have nuclear capability as well. So how do you identify and respond to such a system? The second is a corollary of that, if a nuclear asset is attacked either deliberately or accidentally, what will be the response of a certain state? The first issue here, in this, what compounds the nuclear entanglement or the risk of nuclear war is the common territory or contiguous territory between India and Pakistan across the line of control, line of actual control, working boundary, and the border. Unlike West and Russia, in which an ICBM would have taken 28 minutes from one territory to another, giving 3 minutes of reaction time to the for those who are in the nuclear command and control. Over here, you are joined at the hip, so almost no reaction time. So conventional systems which have supersonic speeds, especially glide vehicles with hypersonic speeds, etc., make this decision-making time almost non-existent. Likewise, once if the dual-use systems, in which I would tend to include some emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, etc., once these are employed in nuclear command and control structure, that will also increase nuclear risk. And if a nuclear asset by accident or by deliberately is attacked, I think that's not a matter of nuclear risk. That will definitely result into a counter strike. There can be no doubt about it. And that's one reason that India and Pakistan, once they signed the agreement between themselves of not attacking each other's nuclear facilities, has withstood all the crises that you have seen in your lifetime or you have studied these. On 1st of January, both states exchanged the list of their nuclear installations, saying that we are not going to hit these rain or shine. So that will be, so answering your second question, that will be a clear, I think that will elicit a response, definitely, on either side. On the first one, if you recall the first video clip that Dr. Nasir had shown, in which a few representatives of Bulletin of Atomic Scientists were holding this clock and they turn it and they said it is 89 seconds short of midnight, which shows that you're just these many seconds away in a risky environment from a nuclear war. What does it tell you? It tells you that with these dual-use technologies, with the type of risk-taking behavior that you see in South Asia, especially from across our border, in which they're ideologically driven leaders who use either ideology or their domestic political agenda for creating crises, I think that's a recipe for disaster. It's a disaster in waiting. And it is, if it were not for Pakistan to restore deterrence stability each time at conventional and at nuclear level, you could have very easily slipped into a catastrophe. So each time they repeat this, It's a risk, it's a huge risk that they're taking. And they're entangling not only technology, as you mentioned, they're entangling their rhetoric into very serious business. I stop here. Thanks.
अच्छा सर, ये मुश्किल काम होता है वैसे सवालों का जवाब देना, लेकिन जब सीनियर लोग बैठे हों तो अच्छी बात होती है, उनके पीछे आप छुप जाते हैं सर। आई वुड लाइक टू से वन थिंग, वो ये है कि आप न्यूक्लियर वेपन को ना ऐसे ना समझें कि वो एक अलमारी में पड़ी हुई चीज़ है जिसको ताला लगा हुआ है और चाबी किसी के पास पड़ी हुई है और वो जब ज़रूरत पड़ेगी तो उसको खोला जाएगा और इस्तेमाल किया जाएगा। अगर आपने शायरी पढ़ी हो तो जो शायरी है ना वो इम्पॉसिबल्स की डोमेन है। लाइक आपने सुना होगा वो द इम्पॉसिबल ड्रीम, वो आपने सुनी है किसी ने, वो जो एक पोएम है द इम्पॉसिबल ड्रीम, एंड आई वांट टू गो वेयर द डेयर्स नॉट where the braves dare not go, and I want to achieve the impossible dream. So ये जो न्यूक्लियर की स्ट्रेटजी है ये कुछ उससे मिलती जुलती कहानी है कि आप कुछ ऐसा कर रहे हैं। अब इंडिया को समझ नहीं आ रही कि वो कैसे हमारी इस पावर को रिस्पेक्ट करे। They are unable to respect the kind of equilibrium, the great equalizing impact of the nuclear weapon itself. You have to respect. Even the Americans are respecting the North Koreans. They dare not attack them. Even a single weapon, which was John F. Kennedy was told that if you attempt to conduct a strike on Cuba, we will be able to eliminate almost 90 or 91, 95, 98% or 99%. And his question was, will there be one nuclear weapon left? He said yes. And then what was his decision? I cannot risk one nuclear weapons being dropped on any city of America. So this is the kind of impact. Entanglement or conventional weapons, हमसे ज्यादा उनको इसका फिक्र होगा और होना भी चाहिए कि कहाँ कहाँ क्या क्या एसेट्स हैं. Imagine the kind of rhetoric we saw after an attack on Nur Khan base, that there was some nuclear radiations. So unfortunately, they have to understand कि एयर बेसिस के ऊपर ना तो इस तरह चीज़ें होती हैं और एक आध ब्राह्मोस मिसाइल अगर गिर गया, it was reckless, irresponsible, highly provocative. It can lead to escalation. Pakistan could have gone and thought over, even there could have been miscalculations. So we suggest that international community, that is why the reason the international community came inside. Indians, I think the saner voices will sooner or earlier will come into play. It is, I think, not in the favor of both the countries to get into this trouble. The final word I would say, like to say, is that they will certainly have to understand the reality. It is not the Pakistan of 1971. It is the Pakistan of beyond post 1998. Even the Americans, even all the superpowers take into consideration so many factors which have come into play. So India dare not do that. Thank you very much.
I think Dr. Imtiaz wanted to say something on this issue as well.
Just a little, you should understand that use of nuclear weapon is no longer a regional issue. One use of nuclear weapon has an effect on everything in the world. Don't consider it an issue between Pakistan and India. If one nuclear weapon is used, the whole world will change. So you cannot just escalate to a nuclear level. It affects the whole world and nobody will let you do it. It affects everybody.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Zainul Haq, a student of IR from Behar University. And my question is related to the space militarization. And as you know that Trump has said to invest $200 billion in space technology. And theoretically, that space technology can intercept even an ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missile, which theoretically again cannot be intercepted. And because it cannot be intercepted, that is why it is truly a deterrent, deterrent technology. So, what will be the future of nuclear deterrence? And will India also aim for this technology, because it is also a fourth largest economy and a true ally of US? And if India aims for that technology, what will be the future of then Pakistan? Because Pakistan certainly does not even have an ICBM. But if India does that, what will be the future of Pakistan? Thank you.
I think he's too provocative. He wants to listen some very, I think, different, not a diplomatic kind of an answer. Okay. So I think just to understand that militarization of space will, as you know, I have a different opinion about technology. Too much of worry about something, everything will change with certain things is not going to happen. The drones have added a new dimension to the warfare, but it has not changed the nature of warfare. The character of the war has changed. Okay, how things will be launched and how much explosives will be transported from point A to point B in how much time, and will it be detected or engaged or not. ठीक है, ये कैलकुलेशन थोड़ी सी हो रही है. जो आपने बात की स्पेस की, स्पेस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट ऑफ न्यूक्लियर डेटरेंस बिकॉज इट प्रोवाइड्स द रियल टाइम इंटेलिजेंस एंड इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट द एडवर्सरीज. ठीक है. अच्छा, अगर आप अपनी वल्नरेबिलिटीज को रिड्यूस कर देते हैं, आपको एक चीज इस सारे फोरम में ये चीज समझनी चाहिए. स्ट्रेटेजिक स्टेबिलिटी इज नॉट अबाउट मेकिंग मोर वेपन्स, इट इज अबाउट लीविंग वल्नरेबिलिटीज. Both sides give up incentive of striking first. जब दोनों ये चीज रियलाइज कर लेते हैं कि हम फर्स्ट स्ट्राइक करने का फायदा कुछ नहीं होगा, अगला कुछ ना कुछ रिटेन करेगा रिस्पॉन्ड करने के लिए. ठीक है. सो देयर इज नो इंसेंटिव फॉर स्ट्राइकिंग फर्स्ट. तो जितनी भी ये जो टेक्नोलॉजीज अभी आ रही हैं, दे आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट द फॉल्स सेंस ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन कि हम पहले डिटरमिन कर लेंगे, हम ज्यादा पता लगा लेंगे कहाँ कौन से एसेट्स हैं, एंड हम उनको बड़े इफेक्टिवली न्यूट्रलाइज कर लेंगे. ये हो नहीं पाएगा. हर टेक्नोलॉजी में एक कहीं ना कहीं लिमिटेशन होती है. वो लिमिटेशन जो है वो जब आप एक चीज और मैं आपको बता दूं, ये प्राइवेट सेक्टर जब टेक्नोलॉजी बेच रहा होता है ना, कहीं पे भी ये साइंटिस्ट बैठे हुए हैं, दे नो कि हर टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर एक कोई ना कोई लिमिटेशन होती है. वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर उसको बता नहीं रहा होता. जब आप उसको यूज करते हैं फिर लग पता जाता है. अमेरिकन जब सैटेलाइट्स खरीद रहे थे ना, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पर्सन टोल्ड मी कि जी वो कह रहे थे कि जी हमें, उन्होंने कहा ये जूम करें जी, सैटेलाइट को जूम किया, रशियन टैंक, ये देखें जी T-72 टैंक, गुड, और जूम करें, ये रशियन सोल्जर, लुक एट द बैजेस, रैंक पता लग रहा है. ओ जी ये सिगरेट पी रहा है, और जूम करें जी, इसका तो ब्रांड भी पता लग रहा है. एक्सीलेंट, बाय दिस टेक्नोलॉजी खरीद ली. इराक वॉर में उन्होंने कहा जी चलें जी वो रिपब्लिकन गार्ड को ढूंढे. तो सैटेलाइट ने कहा कि यार आज वो जो है वो मौसम ठीक नहीं है, हाँ, आज वो ह्यूमिडिटी लेवल ठीक नहीं है, हमारे सैटेलाइट की पोजीशनिंग ठीक नहीं है. सो डस्ट स्टॉर्म आ गया है. उस वक्त जब उन्होंने बेचा था ना हथियार, तो आइडियल दिन चुना था, आइडियल सिचुएशन चुनी थी, आइडियल लैटिट्यूड लॉन्गिट्यूड सारा कुछ चुन के प्लान किया, वो टेस्ट और बेच दिया माल. ठीक है. अब जब उसको डिप्लॉय किया तो लग पता गया. तो ये मैं आपको बताऊं, लिमिटेशंस होती हैं टेक्नोलॉजीज की, लेकिन न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स आर अ ब्रीड अपार्ट. बस ये समझ लें, ये इसका कोई हल नहीं है. अब सवाए अमन के कोई हल नहीं है. नो वॉर इज विनेबल, न्यूक्लियर वॉर इज नॉट विनेबल. इवन जीतने का मजा ही खत्म कर देगा, क्यों, लात टूटी होगी, बाजू कटा होगा, आंखें फोड़ी होंगी, और पता कि द लिविंग विल एनवी द डेड. फुल स्टॉप. थैंक यू.
Sir, we have an online question for you regarding emerging technologies. Can I? Okay. So this is Abid Hassan from International Islamic University. His question is directed to Dr. Kazmi. In an era defined by emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, autonomous weapons, cyber operations, and space-based surveillance, how can South Asian nuclear armed states ensure credible, transparent, and stabilizing nuclear doctrines and postures when transparency remains uneven globally? Historical arms control efforts are faltering, and the risks of miscalculation, unauthorized use, and escalation are amplified by technological unpredictability and strategic ambiguity. Sir.
Right, thank you. Abid, the answer to this question requires a lot of time, but I'll try to be short and sweet. Emerging and disruptive technologies are of two types. For global South, what is emerging is sunset technologies for the West, some of them. And there are 40 of these. I'll not name these for you, but AI, for example, hypersonic, etc., quantum technologies, these are emerging in the West. These are beyond the horizon for us in certain ways. And as I mentioned in an earlier response, these are going to create, if these are included, especially in the nuclear command and control infrastructures, these are going to create the risk of failing deadly more than failing safe. That's the short answer. And since you have talked about emerging technologies, space, although an old technology, is one of the emerging technologies as well, which brings me back to the question which was raised by Ahmed. One of the aspects that he raised was that with recent announcement by the US of a new initiative, if I correctly recall the name, Golden Dome Project, etc., how will it affect the strategic stability? Just consider this: if this is Earth and you have a space asset in the orbit somewhere, what's the difference? The difference is that this space asset, if it is weaponized, either conventional or nuclear, can hit its target directly. So around the Earth, if someone is trying to counter a ballistic or hypersonic missile, which is a challenge, and that's why the ballistic missile defense shields, etc., has some reaction time because it goes into the space and comes back to the Earth. If an asset is placed outside the Earth and is projected as a defense system, I think the definition of defense has to be revisited, because this becomes a dual use offensive system as well. So it will upend a lot of deterrence doctrines, etc., and it will lead to a huge arms race. And if India tries to do it, I think it will only make the war much more swifter and much more dangerous. And they already have tested, if you recall, in 2019, anti-satellite weapons, etc. So if they go into that direction, it will be consequential not only for South Asia, but beyond the region, because once you have a capability, the intent can change. And India has been showing its intent of a global power to become the permanent member of Security Council, and they want to find that access through military power besides economy. So what will happen is that India will not be seen only as an adversary in Pakistan. There'll be other states, especially the nuclear armed states, which will have to factor in India's capability into their calculus.
One last question, Motasim.
Question is from Dr. Zahir Kazmi. He recently wrote an article, No Room for Error, Risk in the New South Asian Flashpoint, in which you quoted that India is trying to craft limited war doctrine to operate below Pakistan. Denies returns at the heavy level of conflict, and the recent event that so missiles don't be Pakistan targeting
we can club them together.
Assalamualaikum, sir. My name is Manur Rizwan and I'm a student of National Defense University. And my question is regarding that after the recent episode between India and Pakistan, BLA announced their support to India. So how do we state the presence of a non-state actor group within our country and their support to India during a crisis between two nuclear nations. So I want Dr. Zahir Kazmi's note on this.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mashal Shah Nawaz, and I'm a sixth semester student of Strategic and Nuclear Studies at NDU. I have a question from Dr. Imtiaz. Sir, recently a IAEA report came out that said that Pakistan is completely self-sufficient in its domestic chickpea production owing to nuclear technology and GMOs. So this is a huge feat, but I wanted to know, is Pakistan indigenously developing all these technologies, or is it collaborating with other international actors like China as well? Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mohammed Khan. I'm also from NDU. सर मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मुतसिम ने जो बात की FSD की, सर हमने देखा कि उड़ी अटैक भी हुआ, पुलवामा भी हुआ, पहलगाम भी हुआ. इन डिफरेंट टाइम्स में इंडिया ने पाकिस्तान को डीप इनसाइड हिट करने की कोशिश की है. जो 2009 में एबटाबाद अटैक हुआ था, आई गेस उसने एक प्रेसिडेंट सेट किया पाकिस्तान अदर स्टेट के लिए कि वो पाकिस्तान पे टेररिस्ट का ब्लेम करके अटैक करें. तो क्या इस प्रेसिडेंट ने क्या ये प्रेसिडेंट पाकिस्तान का थ्रेशोल्ड चेंज करने में कोई इम्पैक्ट रखता है, या आप इसके बारे में क्या समझते हैं?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Hamid, and I am an MPhil scholar from Qaid-e-Azam International University. My question is that the recent events we have seen the deterrence being punctured on both sides of the border. Now, while redefining the threshold or the new spectrum of the said deterrence, do you think that Internet of Military Things and Internet of Battlefield Things have a substantive role that it can play in the current security infrastructure? And if so, what are the structural and the technological obstacles that Pakistan should overcome in order to inculcate such technologies in the current security infrastructure?
Start, because that's the easiest one to answer. See, with nuclear technology, you have an option of using it for any purpose. It's not just specific for this seed or that seed. It depends on what is your requirement. If you have a requirement in any specific food that you require, you can divert your requirement, your scientific endeavor to solving that problem. So what is required is your basic knowledge of the technology. And what in this technology, since it's required by all countries, is shared by Pakistan and by other countries at the International Atomic Energy Agency. Pakistani experts go there, they teach other countries experts come to Pakistan, teach techniques that they have learned. So it's an area in which there's a mutual cooperation because it is for the benefit of mankind. So it's not specific to any crop or anything. There is huge international collaboration that is going on through the International Atomic Energy Agency. Pakistan is a very active member of it. We receive technologies from it, and we give technologies to other countries through it. So it's an open forum available for everybody to utilize.
There were 4 questions, and I'll try and answer these in very short span of time. The first one was from Mr. Afridi, in which he said that has full spectrum deterrence served its purpose? In the recent Pahalgam related incident. Then there was this related question. I'd try and pack these two into one, in which Mr. Mohammed Khan quoted Uri and other precedents saying that have thresholds been crossed, or does it set a precedent? And then a very interesting question asked by Mr. Rahman, if I captured your name correctly. Last name was Mr. Rahman, about BLA acknowledging that they are a proxy of the Indians, and what does it mean? And then there was this question related to extensive new technological use by India in this recent incident. What does it mean? Again, something related to crossing of thresholds, etc. So I'll first answer the question raised by regarding BLA. what our neighbor is doing is that it is running with the hare and hunting with the hound since 1998. So, sorry, since 2001 especially. Just after the 9/11, there was a big, huge hue and cry about terrorism across the world. So what India did was that they conflated the scare of terrorism with a legitimate armed freedom struggle, indigenous freedom struggle in Kashmir. That was a big damage to a freedom struggle, which has been recognized repeatedly in United Nations Security Council resolutions. And what they started doing themselves was, and this is not something which I have said, I'm saying, it is what what American former Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel and in a way their former Secretary of the State, Miss Hillary Clinton, have publicly stated that India has been trying to create problems for Pakistan from Afghanistan and elsewhere, basically saying terrorism, and also that this genie of so-called terrorism, which no one can have a standard definition of, being created by them during their war with former Soviet Union. So what I'm trying to say here is that Pakistan has been a victim of terrorism and is projected as the one which does the act, which becomes the every crisis's trigger, and India becomes the judge, the jury, and the executioner. And in none of these crises, that you've just named or not named, can you find an independent, verifiable inquiry or study which can tell you that Pakistan was the perpetrator. So based on that assumption, you continue to do this. But if BLA comes out and acknowledges that it is the proxy of India, what does it tell you? It just proves what their agent, which whom we caught red-handed, and himself pleaded that yes, I have been abetting terrorism in Pakistan, has been doing. So what does it mean? It tells you that while Pakistan has been the victim, it has always exercised restraint. If India can do what it did based on a false flag operation for which there was no independent, verifiable inquiry, an incident happened, they blamed it within hours, premeditated on Pakistan, and they started a premeditated operation. Consider this, if the Jaffa Train Express, in which we have solid proofs, and likewise the recent terrorist attack on school children bus, girls on Khuzdar, Pakistan has the proofs. So what if Pakistan does what India did? War has been imposed on us. So why not each time for the wrong reasons it has been imposed on us, for the right reason, shouldn't Pakistan do it? So that's a very serious issue that you've raised. And I think Pakistan has given those years, this time Pakistan has given a lot of proofs, and Indians are making fools of themselves globally, moving around and trying to prove otherwise. So the world can be made fool of once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, but not always. And we don't care about the world as far as that Pakistan's security is concerned. If push comes to shove next time, Pakistan's restraint may not be endless. It may respond very differently. And that's my personal view reading. I'm not speaking on behalf of the institution that I serve here. So that's, as a citizen of Pakistan, I feel that our restraint will not be endless. So a long answer to your very short but a very important question. Has FSD served the purpose? Yes, it has. In fact, your deterrence, the good news is that your nuclear deterrence worked as the backstop. Your conventional deterrence was breached and it was restored immediately by your conventional systems. And just mark my words, there will be a beeline for your conventional systems very soon. the stocks of Chinese manufactured aircraft have gone high and stocks of some other countries have gone down. And likewise, your Fatah's missile, conventional armed Fatah missile and other systems, there'll be a beeline of countries who would like to buy these systems. What does it prove? It proves that you have sufficient capability to do it unto the Indians and return them the favor. And technology, remember, once Ford made the first car, an American company, once they made the first car, they would have never realized that their monopoly on a car would be broken by other companies in Germany and elsewhere. So there's no monopoly on technology. If a country is has the will, it will create that technology and the military technology. And just before this event, we were sitting with Pervez Bhatt Sahab, who said that actually the world did us a favor. Once they sanctioned us and they were trying Pakistan not to have that technology, especially after 1974, it actually helped us in the self-help and we made it ourselves. So even if there are technological constraints through control regimes, etc., Pakistan, if once it comes to security, it has proven several times that it will create that technology and it will do what it has to do for its security. And likewise, the question of Uri and other incidents, have our thresholds been crossed? Yes, our conventional thresholds have been crossed, but not our nuclear thresholds. And which would have a follow-up question that what is our nuclear threshold? Remember that deterrence is a psychological term. It is not a technological term in which 2 + 2 will always be equal to 4. It's a psychology to deter your enemy from doing or raising the price of his action and returning more pain to them. So if you draw a line on your thresholds, they will play below or above those thresholds. So Pakistan does not tell what its threshold is. It is for them to identify what that threshold is. But what has been normalized and has been repeatedly proven in these crises is that India tries to raise our pain threshold, and each time it gets a bloody nose, and we return it to them. So I think each time they've tried, our conventional deterrence has worked, and nuclear deterrence has been strengthened. Thank you.
I would just like to, I think, as a very comprehensive answer to a very complicated question. देखें, nuclear weapons कुछ काम करते हैं और कुछ नहीं करते. They create a problem also, because that is the problem, because stability and stability paradox जो है ये problem है. जब एक strategic level पे stability हो जाती है, war नहीं हो सकती, occupation नहीं हो सकती, large scale maneuvering नहीं हो सकती, तो अब क्या होगा? अब ये होगा जो हो रहा है. अब यही होगा सिर्फ कि दुश्मन जो है वो पुरखुलूस अदावत में है, वो भूल ही नहीं रहा, वो छोड़ ही नहीं रहा. अब दोवल डॉक्ट्रिन जो है वो ही ऑपरेट हो रहा है. इसका जवाब उसी डोमेन में है जिस डोमेन में ये लॉन्च हो रहा है, और वो डॉक्टर साहब ने इनडायरेक्टली आपको बता दिया है कि वो अप्रोप्रिएटली उसी डोमेन में ही उसका जवाब दिया जा सकता है. थ्रेशोल्ड की जहाँ तक बात है, तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि आप आज जाके ना वेस्ट मिनिस्टर का एक BBC का एक सीरीज है, वो जरूर देखें. तो ये जो शायरी की मैंने बात आपको की थी, ये वही है. बस शायरी, कुछ शायरी होती रहेगी, कुछ लोगों को एग्री करना पड़ेगा कि ये हो चुका है, रियलिटी से एग्री करना ही पड़ेगा. अब उनके पास कोई चॉइस है नहीं है. ये जो हमने कर दिया है ना, ये हो नहीं सकता लोगों से, ये कर नहीं पाते लोग रिसोर्सेज होने के बावजूद. ये हमें असल में इस पाकिस्तानी कौम को ये समझ ही नहीं आ रही कि 1998 में हुआ क्या है. They think it is just another weapon which has been added to the system. No, sir. A capability which brings you to the level of the superpowers. We have to now as a nation, जैसे economy की बात की, we have to, other systems have to come up to the level to match that capability which you have achieved. You appear very tall at the international level, irrespective that you go and ask them to support your economy. ये बाकी फैक्टर्स उसके बराबर आएंगे, आना चाहिए, और हमें उसमें से अपने कोशिश करनी चाहिए। जो इन्होंने काम करना था वो कर दिया है। एफएसडी पे एक बात करूंगा सिर्फ, एफएसडी इज अ रिस्पॉन्स टू कोल्ड स्टार्ट। ठीक है, इंडिया कोल्ड स्टार्ट नहीं कर सका, कि किया उसने कोल्ड स्टार्ट? वो सोचा भी नहीं है ना। तो अगर इंडिया कोल्ड स्टार्ट नहीं कर सका तो एफएसडी ने काम कर दिया। तो आर्टिकुलेशन, यही हमने आर्टिकुलेट किया था। ये बातें करने से, जो कि कंसेप्चुअल डोमेन में है, जिन्हें साइकोलॉजिकल का, मैं उसको कहता हूं कंसेप्चुअल डोमेन में, ये आइडियाज की गेम है। उन्होंने एक आइडिया फ्लोट किया, हमने एक आइडिया फ्लोट किया। वी डू नॉट प्लान टू कंडक्ट एनी टैक्टिकल स्ट्राइक. We do not think that there is a possibility of any tactical strike. There are no tactical nuclear weapons at all. But what to do if your enemy is stupid enough to think of a space for war under the nuclear overhang, so just to keep him shut up, we bring a concept. That concept puts that shut down. ठीक है, ये है इशू। और क्विड प्रोको प्लस और ये क्विड प्रोको जो है, इसकी डोमेन जो है ये कन्वेंशनल में है। जितना पेन हमें देंगे हम उससे बड़ा पेन देंगे। वो हमें कांटा चुभोएंगे, हम पूरी झाड़ी उनके सर पे मारेंगे। ठीक है, ठीक है। वो एक जहाज लेकर आएंगे, हम 4 जहाज गिराएंगे। वो एक टारगेट करेंगे, हम 5 टारगेट करेंगे। हमने किया है, ठीक है, बस ये है इसका मतलब। थैंक यू।
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have, sir, can we take one more question? Dear.
जय, जिस टाइम पे न्यूक्लियर पावर हम गेन कर रहे थे या उसके बारे में हम सोच रहे थे जुल्फ़िकार अली भुट्टो की दौर में, तो उसके साथ क्या हुआ हमें पता है। 1998 में जिसके दौर में अनाउंसमेंट किया हमने, ट्राई किया, उसके साथ क्या हुआ वो भी ठीक है। उसका भी हमें पता है कि उसके साथ क्या हुआ। और जिस एरिया में हमने ट्राई किया, पाकिस्तान की जो प्रोविंस है बलूचिस्तान, आज उस प्रोविंस का क्या हाल है वो भी हमारे नज़रों में है। और रिसेंटली जिसने इस न्यूक्लियर पावर की वजह से किसी कंट्री को ये कहा कि एब्सोल्युटली नॉट, उसके साथ क्या हुआ। तो ठीक है कर रहा हूँ। तो ये पॉलिटिकल सपोर्ट रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है सर एक न्यूक्लियर पावर के लिए? मतलब कि सर थोड़ा सा मैं इसके लिए एक्सप्लेन कर रहा था, पॉलिटिकल क्या रिक्वायरमेंट चाहिए?
गालिबन आप मिक्स कर रहे हैं दो डिफरेंट बातों को। पॉलिटिकल सपोर्ट की जब बात हो रही थी वो पावर प्रोग्राम की बात हो रही थी। ऑल्दो that political support has always been there through all governments, through all political parties. That has never been a question in Pakistan. The only question is, do we have the financial capability of doing it? इसके अलावा जो है ना, कभी भी एक किसी ने नहीं कहा कि जो है न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम, जो पावर न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम की बात करें, उसके लिए कभी पॉलिटिकल सपोर्ट नहीं रही। There has always been a cross-country support, even in the masses and in the political governments, to have nuclear program, nuclear power programs. Of course, the requirements are some other financial or economic conditions. So when those economic conditions are available, we do have a program. If you are talking about the other nuclear weapons program, then there is a complete political support. There has never been any party, any section of the society which has opposed this program. Okay? Except for a few individuals who are supported by some outside concerns. There has never been any political party, any political leader of any stature who has ever opposed any of it. So that pretense that there is some power behind it who's doing something to this, that has nothing to do with the facts. The fact is that there is a cross-party, cross-country, cross-nation complete support for it.
If I may add something, because ये सवाल There are two aspects to it. There's the peaceful side of the atom, and there's the destructive side of the atom. As far as Pakistan's nuclear program is concerned, I'll second and I'll repeat what Dr. Saab said, that there has been unconditional, sustained support across all political domain, across all sectors of society for nuclear program. Period. आप किसी दिन check करके चले जाएं, आप बाहर जाइए, you engage with a street hawker or you engage with a politician, you will find the same answer. But, और ये मैं अब जो बात कहने लगा बड़ी important है, there have been attempts from not within Pakistan but from elsewhere to wean or weaken that support to the nuclear program. And that started somewhere in the universities, by the way, by spreading nuclear pessimism, etc., etc. मैं इसको ज़्यादा elaborate नहीं करूँगा, because you, those who come from universities, we are very wise and widely read, लेकिन उसको ज़रा गौर से देखिएगा. So, and एक तो है ये domestic political support का issue, एक है international political support का issue भी, by the way. ज़रा थोड़ा wide angle lens पे ले. और wide angle lens वाला मामला जो है वो ये है कि sometimes Pakistan's nuclear bomb has been given a religion and others have never been given a religion. Right. And sometimes it is considered, such a responsibility is just considered a white man's burden, not another man's burden. And we have also witnessed a world where a person who is considered or becomes persona non grata in a country because of the genocide against a particular faith that he does in his country is given a red carpet reception just because he's become a prime minister. तो ये सारी मिसालें आपके पास हैं. So for the political, international political support, your actions and your responsible and confident behavior will speak more than your words. For domestic support, beware of anyone who wants to educate you or treat you and tell you, I'm talking to the students, that nuclear capability, be it peaceful or military capability, has not done you any favor. I think it has given you a very, as Dr. Nasir was also saying, it has given you what others dream of. And your economic situation and other situation is not because of this capability. It has given you the basement to do all that. अब अगर कोई अपना काम सही नहीं कर रहा in education sector, in economic sector and in other sectors, it is not because of this. It is because of their own reasons. So nuclear weapons program and peaceful nuclear program has done what it can, and others must do what they must. I think this is one of the lessons we should take away from Youm-e-Takbir.
Aisha, I would like only one thing. देखें, आप स्टूडेंट्स हैं और फैकल्टी मेंबर हैं. हम जिस मैटर से डील करते हैं दैट इज कॉल्ड नॉलेज. ठीक है, नॉलेज में जो सबसे फंडामेंटल चीज है वो है एविडेंस. किसी भी चीज को ना अगर आप दलील से साबित कर सकते हैं तो फिर वो नॉलेज कहलाता है, वरना वो फिर रेट्रिक है. जो पॉलिटिकल रेट्रिक होता है ना जलसे में, उसका मकसद होता है कुछ टेम्पररी वक्ती तौर पे कुछ लोगों के इमोशन से खेलकर कुछ फायदा उठाना. ये होता है और ये रियलिटी है ह्यूमन सोसाइटी में, ये हो रहा है, होता रहेगा. लेकिन बीइंग अ सीरियस स्कॉलर, व्हाट आई थिंक वी ऑल आर, and this is going to be a very serious community which there are a lot of burden on us, not only understand but to respond to what Zahir was saying. There are a lot of international criticism because of certain reasons which make you peculiar. आप सेंटर स्टेज में बैठे हैं और पत्थर आ ही जा रहे हैं. हमें अंदर से पत्थर मारने वालों का भी मुकाबला करना है और बाहर से. तो we want, let us think on the essence of knowledge objectively. ठीक है, जो आपने बातें की हैं, आप बाद में किसी टाइम पे आए, आपसे एविडेंस जब पेश किया जाएगा, it will change your mind. ठीक है, वो सारे के सारे जो ये ख्यालात है ना, इनके पीछे सिर्फ कहानियां हैं. वो आखिरी चूड़ी कस के हम आए थे ठीक है, वो सारा न्यूक्लियर वेपन सिस्टम एंड न्यूक्लियर प्रोग्राम कंसिस्ट ऑफ हंड्रेड्स ऑफ सिस्टम साइमल्टेनियसली पुट टुगेदर और इन अ सिंक्रोनाइजेशन ऑफ नैनो सेकेंड्स, जिसमें एक भी सिस्टम फेलियर हो जाए तो ये सिस्टम नहीं चलता। उसमें एक मेटलर्जिस्ट ने कोई इतना बड़ा कारनामा किया है, कारनामा इतना बड़ा नहीं, बट उस सिस्टम में ही कोलैबोरेटेड था। ठीक है, हर आदमी का रोल अपने ही लेवल का था, सबने किया है काम, किसी अकेले के कुछ बड़ा नहीं किया। ठीक है, सबने मिलके किया है। सो वी आर प्राउड ऑफ देम, we would celebrate them, but as a scholar and as students we look at them, everyone's contribution from the perspective of knowledge. ठीक है sir, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we come to an end of this session. I would like to thank all the speakers for their insightful discussions. I hope they were helpful. A special thanks to all the students and faculty members who have joined us today. I hope all these discussions have helped you demystify some of the narratives that are surrounding Pakistan's nuclear program in the public domain. So on behalf of SVI, I thank you once again. I hope we'll continue to engage with you on other such platforms. Allah Hafiz. And we have last two announcements regarding your certificates. Please collect them from Ma'am Ayusha on your way out. And lunch is also served. You can pick up while you leave. Thank you so much. Have a good day ahead. Allah Hafiz.